take it apart. You have to literally remove everything to get to the bolts that's behind here. So to start out, we're going to go ahead and remove the Mickey Mouse panel here. And as you guys can tell, I essentially did pop out some of these. A good starting point is if you look down here, up here it's very tight and it's hard to get a trim removal tool in there. So what I did was I found a little slot that was a little larger, and I stuck my tool in here and pried out. That gave my fingers just enough so that I can slowly start pulling it apart. Now, you want to take your time. You're going to hear a lot of cracking. Don't worry about it. You're not breaking anything. It's just some of these clips that are coming off. So be very careful as you pull out, because you do have the hazard button that you want to disengage here. So don't let it fall, but we'll slowly pop it out. And that piece is off. And then what we'll go ahead and do is we're going to undo this clip here. Now, the next part, we are removing this air vent cover. And the way that you want to do it is you first want to remove the sensor here. The best thing to do is to essentially put a screwdriver in one of these vents that you're able to reach the sensor and just essentially push on up. And then you're able to essentially pry from the side here to get this up. Now, once you are able to get it up, you'll see there's going to be 3 tabs here, 2 here, and it's going to be held in by a T20 star bit. So make sure that you remove that little bit there, and you're able to, at that point, disconnect this from that little sensor. But this is essentially what it's going to look like, and I'm going to go ahead and put this piece aside. Now what we'll go ahead and do is we're going to remove this upper trim here, and it looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's 5 bits that you have to remove. And let's take a look here. Those are also going to be T20, so we'll go ahead and remove those and set those aside. With those 5 bolts removed, I was able to loosen this here. So you're going to loosen this, and then the next step is you want to remove these side panels here. And again, you want to find a little spot that is open, and then just pull these right off. The next thing that I did was I went ahead and removed the 2 screws underneath the cup holder pads here. That allows me to pull the cup holder up a little bit, and then there's going to be 1 screw that is holding down the coin tray. Now, the thing about the coin tray, once you're able to loosen that bolt and remove it, you do not want to, at this point, pull out that coin tray, because there is a wire or some type of sensor that is connected that I'll get to in a little bit. But everything at this point with the screws has been a T20. So go ahead and remove those, and we'll proceed with the next part. The next part of the install is we remove the driver's side kick panel. There's actually going to be 3 T20s that you want to remove, and essentially you can pull this panel out just like I did. Now keep in mind, there's going to be a ribbon cable right here that is attached to the start button. You want to be very careful when you remove it. There's a couple of tabs that you push, and you'll be able to essentially pull it out from here. So the choice is you could either leave it dangling just like this, or you can pull this out. But since this is a ribbon style, let's take a look here, a ribbon style connector, I do not want to damage it, because if you do, you're not going to be able to start your car. Now what I've done is I went ahead and removed the 3 screws on top that hold the glove box in. You are going to have to remove the side paneling here that shows the fuse box, as well as the side. There's going to be a 4th bolt that's inside here that essentially holds the complete top of the glove box in. So go ahead and remove that. And there is going to be 1 side panel on the very bottom here with 3 screws that you remove as well. So I have removed that, and from here we're going to slightly remove the glove box forward to access a couple of additional screws in the back. Okay, so we were able to successfully remove this glove box, and I'm going to change a couple of things. There are essentially 4 bolts on top. You've got a couple underneath that hold the glove box in, and there's actually 2 inside of essentially underneath and inside the glove box that holds it in. Now this piece here is going to be your airbag, so you want to be very careful. If you take a look here, I essentially just disconnected this from the glove box. It came out relatively easy, and there's going to be clips here that go underneath the glove box. You can pry those down a little bit without touching the airbag, and from there you're able to access these two T30s that are back here. But I'll take a couple pictures as best as I can. You just want to take your time. My recommendation is to not remove, or you can loosely remove the top of the glove box, but don't completely undo these bolts here, because then you have nothing that really supports it. But we were able to successfully get that out. Now we have access to these bolts here that holds this entire panel. So we got the bolts that hold these in here, and this essentially just came right out. So that was a whole lot of work just to get to, it looks like there's either 2 or 4 bolts that hold this in. You've got 2 additional ones that will hold this trim piece here, and once we remove it, we'll have access to this here. So we have done pretty much all the hard stuff right now to get just to the radial. So let's go ahead and proceed to the next process. Now what I went ahead and did was I removed 1, 2, 3 that holds this in, and then there's 2 that actually will hold the CD in. So we're essentially just going to pull it out. I can feel a little resistance, and that's going to be from the cable in the back. So we'll go ahead and slowly take it out. And you want to be careful because this is one complete unit. Let me go ahead and try to figure how to get this a little further out here so I can have some room. The next part of this process is trying to access the very back for the rear reverse camera. So this little pocket right here is how you access the rear tail lamp. And all I did was I pulled this off, and then from here we can essentially push this here to remove this. And I can't do it because I'm holding the camera in one hand, but you can disconnect this. From the inside, you're going to have 2 of these type of bolts here that hold the assembly in. It's an 8mm, so you can go ahead and remove it. And from here, we're going to go ahead and just kind of come on out. We'll be able to pull this off so that we can run the cabling down underneath into the bumper and over to where the dash cam reverse camera is actually going to sit. So I'll take some time to do that real quick for you guys, and then I'll show you. Here is the rear tail light removed, and you can actually see, and I'll stand correct, there was 4 bolts that hold this thing in. And it looks like they're just simply brackets that do something like that hold it into the car. So again, 4 bolts. Here is my rear reverse camera that I'm going to use. I have one of these as well in the front, and I'm still deciding on whether I want to do it. It looks like it's a little difficult to access to the firewall, but again, this is going to be the rear reverse one. What we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to find a bit that's relatively close. We'll drill this a hole through the bumper and then get this reverse camera mounted and tested out. For the camera part, you guys will see that I went ahead and drilled into the bumper and mounted this camera. It was easily accessible from underneath so that I can go ahead and actually tighten it. So there you see the camera, and we're going to go ahead and make our way up here. I ran the cabling through after drilling just a small hole right over here that allowed me to pull the wiring through. So now I can actually hook it up to the rear tail light, reverse light here, and then run the cabling all the way up through to the very front. So from here, what I did was I had to run the video cable from the very back out to the very front, and all I essentially did was I connected 2 large zip ties together. I taped the end of the wire, I pushed it through, and it's going up to about right up here. We'll walk around, and then you guys will see that it's coming out from here. I removed the weather stripping from this door, and what we're going to do is we're going to run the cable all the way down through here. right through such. Walk around over here. And this door, I also removed the cable and the weather stripping, as well as the panel that went right here. So from here, I'll be able to run my reverse all the way up. So we have come to the step where we are going to start doing some of the wiring installation. As you can see, I have the brain unit up here. And this cable that you see is going to be for the USB, where I will attach the Android Auto and Carplay dongle. I have actually put my GPS sending unit right up here underneath that little round spot here. And this is going to be for the GPS antenna hookup. And all I did with the extra is I just zip tied it and firmly taped it in here. I don't think it's going to fall out anywhere. And then let's show you guys the CD control mechanism. What I've done here is I have zip tied everything together so that anything that I don't use, I went ahead and just put together. So the main plugs here, this is going to be the ones that goes to the brains itself. You have your reverse video input. Here is the main harness that goes to the car. And then here's another one that's going to go to the brains. And I'm going to go ahead and hook up this purple wire to the reverse sensor that came from my rear camera. So let's go ahead and put some things together, and I'll show you guys how it looks at that point. So I ran into a little situation. This is the bus connection that shows all of the information to your car, such as the seat belt, your gas gauge, etc., that connects to the back of the unit. Unfortunately, this is going to be too short, and I'm going to have to modify this. So I went ahead and bought some extra cabling, and I'm going to have to splice in here to extend it out probably about 3 inches or so, just to give myself enough room. But that is a little disappointment that I have to modify this original connector here. Alright guys, so I finished modifying my bus line here. What I did was I essentially soldered longer lines in there, and then I shrink wrapped it, and then you can tell I flex loomed it just to be a little OCD. But I tested it, it works perfectly fine, and now I don't have to worry about stretching this cable anymore. So we'll go ahead and start putting things back together. So we have the lower CD and DVD controller mounted here, and all I did was I ran the cables on up through here so that it could actually access this unit here when we put it in. So everything is neatly done. What I went ahead and did is I put the speaker up here. I've got the GPS antenna up here, and I just routed it through an opening here. I taped all the excessive GPS line here very securely. I zip tied it so it's not going to go anywhere. And then I've got pretty much everything that I need here. Here is going to be your speaker wire that goes to the head unit. This is going to be your GPS antenna. This is your bus line. You've got your USB cable. And then these are all going to be the connections from the controller up to the head unit here. So I'm going to go ahead and put this together, and I will install it and let you guys see what it looks like in just a little bit. So we have the unit in. I went ahead and put the brain controller in. Here is the CD, DVD controller, and it's all in, everything tucked out very well inside. These wires are going to be to the other stuff, but just wanted to kind of give you guys a look at what it does look right now. So what I'll go ahead and do at this point is I'm going to start putting together some of the panels that I removed, and then we'll go ahead and just do a quick review of the product. So we got the unit in, and you guys can see how it looks. It looks pretty good. I'm not going to cover the functionality of the unit right now. I'm saving that for once I have everything finalized. I could do another video for you guys to see, because that's going to be a whole new task for you guys to take a look at. So everything looks pretty good at this point. What I'll go ahead and do is I'm